welcome back to WRPL. It's the podcast where we talk about all the things we are watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben.
And I'm Steve.
How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing well, Ben. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm excited. I'm leaving town in like 4 days. I'll be gone for like 10 or 11 days. No work,
Ooh.
just family and friends back in, my old stomping grounds.
The strip
So,
club?
yeah, yeah. Oh man, you don't want to go to the strip clubs where I'm from. They're almost as bad as where we are now. So, yeah, so I'll be gone for a bit. We won't have much content. I know. People are sad.
And I'm sure you guys are asking yourself, well, why doesn't Steve just do it by himself? Well, here's the thing. I don't want to. So
He's
we'll just
busy, and he also doesn't have the computer program that I use
so
and the
you'll just have to
mics.
wait. Build that sweet suspense.
I did think about. I thought about just bringing all my stuff with me and then like recording one with my niece and nephew. Whether I do any not that I would put it on the air, but
Yeah.
like as a fun thing for them to just be like, this is a fun thing your uncle does. You want to talk about stuff and just see how
Yeah,
it
I
goes.
think Trump's great, and Joe Biden's ruining America.
Oh, you're 7. Okay, so today's main topic is No Hard Feelings, the new Jennifer Lawrence rated R sex comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of those lately. And from what people are saying, this is the death of the R-rated sex comedy. If this doesn't do well, I'm not saying that it's so bad that it's gonna
Okay.
kill
That's what I thought you were saying.
No, it's since they're so few and far between. This one, if it doesn't do gangbusters, studios will just say, "See, this is why we don't do those anymore." So
But we'll get to that.
we'll get to that. Not a bunch of stuff. I started like 4 shows. Some of them are returning
Jesus.
favorites. Some of them are new, but they're only a couple episodes in, so I didn't watch much there. Like started a book. I'm gonna talk about it a little bit just because I'll finish it and forget about it completely by the time I come back. So I might as well talk now, even though I'm not done. You have a few things.
I finished a TV show
Okay.
and I watched 2 movies. One you briefly talked about last week,
Okay.
but we can,
And then the main topic.
and then the main topic.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, let's start with a roll. Shut up, Steve. I see you wanted
I
to say
I
something.
know, but that's kind of like the fun of it. It's just like if I get it right,
All
it's
right.
like
Okay.
wow, amazing, and if I get it wrong, it's like oh, you idiot. But if I don't say anything, it just is.
Dead air. 14.
14, not bad. Okay, I'll take it.
Can't see it.
I think that's a 17. Yep, 17.
Ooh.
Big money.
Ooh. Maybe one of our higher ones. We need a going tally that we can see, so we can just see every episode and how much they add up to, because that's pretty good. All right. Well, let me just talk about my stupid book real quick.
Talk about your stupid book.
All right. I didn't read your comic that you gave me. I'll get to it. I was like, oh, I'll bring it on the plane. Like, I'm not taking his comic book for like 10 days out of town. I'll leave it at home. But last week, I believe it was last week. Last week, I talked about a zombie book and how I wasn't too impressed with it,
Hmm.
and I wasn't gonna read its sequel or anything. Well, I lied. I I needed something, and it wasn't waiting. Like since with my app, only one copy can be out at a time.
Okay.
No one was waiting for it, so I said, "Fuck it," and I downloaded it, but then I didn't listen to it for a week because I had my podcast and stuff like that, and picked it up not too long ago. I'm about 70% done with it, so this one is so much better than the first one.
Oh,
It's
good.
more of a prequel. In the previous book, the flu got out, zombies were there, and we were kind of like already in the action, and there wasn't a lot of stuff in the past. This is the day before, 2 days before you actually see the actual breakout of the zombies and what caused it and where some of the characters from the first book were before. There's little sneaky nods of there's a character in the first one, she has red hair and she drops a packet of like antihistamines. Yada yada yada. There's a bunch going on in that part. But in this, someone's at a grocery store and like bumps into a redhead who is picking up antihistamines. It's just like wink wink, hey, look, we're in the same town. Look at that character who's not probably going to show up. Hasn't shown up. I'm 75% in and hasn't shown up, so I don't expect him to. but it's a lot more graphic. There's a lot more attention to their past. It's way more fleshed out. You could tell that maybe that first one was maybe his first, once again, I didn't do homework on any of this again, was maybe his first story, had some success, and then really was able to sit with this next one and take actual like notes from
Right.
the publisher or things like that. So I'm having a lot better time with this one. The one main thing that's a problem with audiobooks is one of these characters is deaf, and his wife's father doesn't like him, thinks he's less than, and he talks about how people always kind of look at him as, the R word. uh, but in audiobooks, you kind of have to do accents and stuff, and so
Mm,
when the deaf character is talking, the guy reading the book has to kind of do a deaf voice, and it seems kind of like insensitive. He's not mocking, but it's one of those voices that just shouldn't be done. It makes me feel weird when he does it. Luckily, he doesn't talk too much, and there's a lot more like inner monologue. And thank
sure.
God his inner monologue doesn't also sound like that. But besides that, that would be funny. Um, but yeah, besides that, I am having a good time with it, and I gotta say it now because as soon as I leave, I'll see this on my list of things that I consumed and be like, what the fuck is Fever? I don't know. I was doing that with some of the other stuff earlier in the year, and I had like six things in a row. I had no idea what they were, and I
Oh
had to
wow.
look them up. And it was like, oh yeah, that thing. Oh, okay. There's a reason I gave that a D minus. It's super forgettable, but yeah,
So the first book was called Flu, right? And
flu, and this
the
is
second
Fever.
Fever. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I don't think there's a third, unless it's coming out soon. But these books were written in like the 2010s, so I don't
Hmm.
see. I think it will have a definitive ending,
Maybe they're
but
doing a George R. R. Martin thing where it's like,
maybe,
well, I'll
yeah.
just wait 2 decades before I put out the next
Has
book.
there been any news on that? I know every month
Don't
he's
bother.
he's just closer
There's
and
always
closer.
news, but I don't until there's like the publisher comes out and says it's done, it's official. We've already printed them. We're just waiting
Hmm.
until this. I'm not paying attention to that. I think it's you can't constantly do quote unquote updates since 2011 about the book and it's still not be here.
Yeah, and then I see
And
a
then
commercial for
it's like,
something that says like from so and so and George R. R. Martin, like, stop working on other stuff, dude. Finish your magnum opus, the thing that made you famous, like your baby. Don't you want to finish that before you die? You are incredibly old and in terrible shape. You're not gonna last,
Jesus Christ.
too much longer. Get it done. Anywho, that's it for Fever. Whatever.
All right,
It sure is a book.
cool. Did you want to knock off some of your other stuff? And since I only have
Okay.
two things,
Well, Righteous Gemstones came back.
oh,
Have you started it?
I did, but I think I fell asleep in the first episode. Not because
Okay.
I was bored, just because I'm a new dad and I'm tired all the time. I remember the opening scene where they're beating a guy on the beach, and
Mm-hmm.
I know I watched more.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I understand. It's great. As always, there's not a bad episode. There's not a bad character. I mean, they're all bad people, but
sure.
they're such fun characters. Judy is still the absolute worst, and I will watch her, eagerly. But it's just as great as any of the other seasons. It's funny. I went on
They're only
to
doing sorry, like one episode at a time, right? Week to
yeah. I
week.
think the first two
The
got
first two. Yeah,
released,
yeah, yeah.
but it's only one at a
Okay.
time. But I was like, oh, it came back. I didn't have my DVR set. Go to HBO and I hit play, and it's going. This is kind of familiar territory, and I watched like 20 minutes. And it was just the first episode, and it
From
felt
season
from
one.
season
Uh,
one, and it just like they have the wave pool baptism at the beginning, and they go home to their mansions, and it just kind of felt like, oh, this is a fresh start. We're getting back into the groove of things. But I'm like, God, this seems so damn familiar. Then I pause it, and 23 minutes in, like season one, episode one. Like, I feel so fucking stupid. But yeah, then I watched the other two, and it was great. So,
all right, good to know. Yeah, I enjoyed both seasons of Righteous Gemstones. It didn't blow me away like I think it does for you,
mm-hmm.
um, but it's one of those shows where if I have nothing else to watch, I'll put on, and I always have a good time. Uh, But if I miss this season, don't be surprised.
Okay.
So we'll see.
My other my other two are kind of, well, no. Okay, I'll do one more. Clone High is done now. All the
Oh,
episodes are out. I don't
okay.
know how much further you got into
I
it.
just the first episode.
Okay. I still think it's great. It ends in a good way that hey, if this does get canceled again, we could bring it back in another 20 years. Uh,
Okay.
I don't know. Something about this show that just tickles a little piece of me. It's not the funniest show. It's not the most clever. I don't think it's as good or as clever as the first season, but there's just something about Abe and Joan and JFK and Scudworth, and uh, there's a whole episode about Mr. Butlertron and why he calls people Wesley. It's great. The final two episodes are real strong. But I have to go through it again. It was definitely a show that I probably missed a few jokes on,
Hmm.
but yeah, I don't know what else to say since you haven't seen it. So,
Uh,
Clone
so,
High
but
season
so
two.
does it end in a like? If this is the end of the show, it is uh, an adequate ending to the show.
No,
Okay,
but
it's like we're definitely trying to come back
yeah, it definitely wants to have a season two or season three,
at
whatever.
this point. Yeah,
Season two of the new series.
right, right, right.
Yeah, but if it did end, it would just be kind of one of those up in the air things like the first
Sure.
season did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Par for the course then.
Yeah. You give me something,
I'll give you a
Steve.
little something. All right. So, as I've said before, and I'll probably say a million times,
You like Lord of the Rings.
I'm not the biggest anime guy,
Oh,
but I
okay.
did finish an
I thought
anime.
that was my thing. Yours is you love Lord of the Rings, and my thing is I don't like anime.
Well, we're mostly on the same page on.
On both those things, I
Yeah,
do like Lord of
you
the
do like
Rings.
Lord of the Rings, but I do find one occasionally that I do like and appreciate. So I finished season 2 of Vinland Saga. For people who don't know, Vinland Saga
Yeah, I don't
is
know what that
an
is.
anime about a young boy who becomes a warrior during Viking times, where they're invading England and all that good stuff. So first season he was I think like 14, and he just becomes this like essentially dual wielding knife assassin for this band of mercenary Vikings who go and interact with kings and stuff, and just basically he's just a murdering little monster who just wants to seek revenge on the man who killed his dad that he currently works for. He works for the guy who killed his dad.
And how do you spell the title of this show?
Vinland.
All
Vinland.
one word.
All one word.
Like Vin
Saga.
Diesel's theme park, Vinland.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's actually pretty good. And season 2 now is years later. He has become a slave and he's working on this farm. And if you like season 1, you might hate season 2
Oh.
because season 1 is more traditional anime in terms of every episode. There's probably an action sequence, and there's some really great action sequence, but it's also a show that isn't ridiculous
Okay.
for the most part. People don't have powers. People aren't doing necessarily a ton of superhuman stuff. Sometimes I can forgive a little bit, like someone might jump a little bit farther than humanly possible. Or there's
Okay.
one character who's very much larger than everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there's an episode where he can like throw a fucking tree,
Okay.
but it's not like egregious or anything
Okay.
like that. It's mostly grounded in reality. There isn't any sort of embarrassing, cringy, booby grabby stuff or like characters falling over to silly, dumb jokes. It's
Yeah.
very serious, very straightforward. It could almost easily be adapted to a live action thing,
Okay.
unlike these other animes that are
Sure.
doing One Piece or Cowboy Bebop. It's just
Oh, that One Piece trailer.
oh,
Steve, you had the greatest joke after I sent you the
I
trailer for
you're
it.
you're setting it. It's I've had the easiest joke.
Okay, that's true, but
I
I
wouldn't say
didn't
it's the
think of
greatest.
it, so if I didn't think of it, it must be amazing.
Oh, sure, exactly. Oh, fine. It's the greatest joke that's ever been said, and I came up with. Yeah, you sent me the trailer for One Piece. I had already seen it at that point, but I just said that's one piece of shit I will not be watching. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The crowd goes wild. Anyway, but Vinland Saga, it's not that. It's like I said, very straightforward, very serious. But yeah, season two, he's now, I think, 19 or 20. It's been a few years. He's grown up. He has become a slave. He's working on this farm. And the entire season is him just kind of like making a friend and sort of interacting with certain people on the farm.
It's more
And
slice of life.
yeah, I mean, it's not like happy. He's very traumatized.
Hmm.
There is a very cool episode where he has nightmares a lot from all the trauma of war and murdering tons of people. Uh, but the one episode he has a nightmare and he basically goes to hell and meets the guy who killed his father and is just kind of like, this is where you'll end up if you blah blah blah, and account for your sins kind of thing. But there's really only like one battle near the end of the story, and it's not even a big battle or anything, because this season really wasn't about violence. It was more about trauma and sort of finding peace
Healing.
and healing. Yeah. So it's really like just becomes like a character study. And it was kind of
Oh,
interesting for an
okay.
anime because I'm not used to seeing that kind of thing. There's plenty of animes that have moments of heart that really can kind of get you, but it's usually implanted in a scene after they just, destroyed a building with their
Mm.
energy blast or something like
Hmm.
that. So if you want something, if you're looking for an anime that isn't, the big traditional animes, but still animated beautifully and a pretty well told story, despite it being, I don't know if this whole season needed to be 25 episodes to just kind
Mm.
of be a guy hanging out on a farm. But it was a nice change of pace for me, and it was kind of nice that it was a week to week, and it's just, 22 minutes of just, what's this guy doing here? And, being treated like crap, but because he's a slave, but he could like kick anybody's ass on this farm if he really wanted to, but he just wants to be at peace and like forget his past and all that stuff. It was nice. So
Okay.
if you're trying to get into anime but you don't want to do all the kitty Dragon Ball Z stuff, try Vinland Saga. It might be more up your alley. Still fun action sequences, but also very much just a pure story, I think.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
that's my pitch
And
for you.
how long of a time was there a release from season one to two?
I think it was a pretty big chunk.
Yeah.
I think season one might have come out, I want to say, in 2019.
Oh, okay.
And so it was 4 years till
Okay.
season two.
All right.
Um, but the company that makes, I believe, is like super busy. They're kind of one of the top anime people. They're doing Chainsaw Man
Mm,
and Attack on pretty much all the
the biggest
biggest
of the
ones
bigs. Yeah.
these guys are doing. And I think they're just animation's hard. So
Yeah.
they're bouncing back and forth between all these major shows. So
Okay.
I get it.
I was talking to my mom, and she was telling me about how she. My mom has been a big soap opera watcher ever since I was a kid.
Uh-huh.
Every day, when you're a stay-at-home mom, having a new TV episode every day, that's got to be a great thing. Um, so she's on Netflix just watching random stuff, and apparently she's gotten into Korean dramas. Like she watched one because I
Mm-hmm.
had a kind of an interesting premise, and then it suggested a few more, and she watched those and a few more, and now her whole Netflix thing is just like they assume she's a Korean woman living in Korea, uh, and so she's telling me this, and my mind's boggled. I would never expect her to read subtitles.
I think this is fantastic.
It's awesome. It's different, and I did not expect it. But I told her, like, if you start watching anime, mom, in any sort of capacity, we're gonna have to have a talk because I will not approve, and not because I think anime is bad and no one should listen to it. I don't want my mom to kind of know anything about it. She just needs to know they're cartoons and they're not for her. If she, I just
Let her enjoy things, man.
she can, but I don't want her to enjoy that thing. I think it's too weird. She's too old. She's in her 70s now.
I think it would be a that crossover between that age group
Uh huh.
and this this medium, I think would be a
A very
very small group.
yeah,
It would be more impressive
70
that
year
she was
old
in it.
women
Yeah,
and first time anime
yeah,
watchers.
yeah, yeah,
Very small group.
yeah.
But maybe I'll go there and I'll make her watch one. But what would be a good anime for an elderly woman?
Well,
Because she's not going to want to watch Attack on Titan.
no, yeah.
Yeah.
All the ones that I've seen, I don't think I could really pitch. I think you would have to. I think there are animes that are slice of life that it's like, oh, here's the story about. It's an anime where people work in a kitchen or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, Maybe something like that
Okay.
is just kind of cutesy and just, oh, what are we gonna do today? Well, let's go to the mall. I don't know.
Okay. And maybe
I don't know what animes that is. Uh,
maybe like a Ghibli or something. Something cute and inoffensive.
Maybe, but I feel like Ghibli's still. Spirited Away maybe, because you could say this is an Oscar-winning movie.
Sure.
This is beloved by anyone who's ever seen anime, pretty much. Like
But
that might be a thing,
that may
but
be
it's so
still
weird.
weird.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
I
of
don't.
like,
I'm in the camp that doesn't like Ghibli movies
yeah,
because I think they're too weird.
okay.
Uh,
I like some. They're ones that are so popular, like Spirited Away, that I
yeah,
watch and
that's the
said,
one I would like to see that I haven't.
"What's the big deal?" It
Yeah,
looks nice, or like Howl's Moving Castle.
didn't care for
It
it.
looks great. Who cares?
Yeah,
Princess Mononoke, amazing. It's a great movie. But compared to some of the other ones, I just don't get it. I'm thinking Secret World of Arietti. That's a good anime maybe for my mom. It's a simple premise, and like the borrowers did it. It's like an old
yeah,
book
yeah.
series. That's a little more accessible.
Yeah, I think you should talk to someone
Who knows
who
more?
knows more
Yeah,
anime,
okay.
because I just kind of know actiony ones because
Yeah,
that's
the booby grabbing ones.
I don't watch the booby grabbing ones anymore.
Anymore, but you know of
I
them.
was 14 at a time, man. All right, get off me.
If we had to name all the booby grabbing animes, you'd name more than me.
Fair enough.
Okay. So let's see. I have two things. You don't give a shit about either one of them, probably. Which one do you hate least? Okay. I started Secret Invasion. Uh,
I had a feeling this would come up. Yeah,
yeah. It's pretty good. If you like that sort of spice thrillery thing, I think all the actors are good. What's her name? Olivia Colman's just having a blast. She's really fun in it. And I think Samuel Jackson's being maybe a little too silly because in this, everyone's saying you're too old for this, Nick. You got snapped, and when you came back, you were never the same. You're out of the game. And he's also kind of like having fun and waving a gun around and just like almost like Samuel Jackson is phoning it in now. Like he knew who Nick Fury was back in the day.
does
Now he doesn't
Steve
give a
Rogers
shit.
look like a bitch?
And so it's there's this contrast of like you're too old, you can't do it. I would expect him, and they do show him like you know favoring his knee. It's getting a little bad. He's a little slower, um, but it feels like he should be a little more gruff and sad that he can't do this thing anymore. But everyone's telling him no, and he's just kind of like shrugging with a smirk on his face. Like, um, but the problem with this show is, the whole thing is the scrolls. There's good ones, there's bad ones. There's like a terrorist group. I guess they're not affected by like nuclear fallout or radiation, so they're hanging out in Russia because there's all these, like Chernobyl and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Just so many places that are irradiated that people don't go that they could use as hideouts. And since they can shapeshift, every scene of every episode, I'm just gonna go, there a scroll, there a scroll, there a scroll. That's not him. No, that's a scroll. So the surprise of who's been a scroll this whole time is not going to be exciting because
They're all
they're all
scrolls.
scrolls. Yeah, when War Machine is finally revealed to have been a scroll this whole time, and that's why he doesn't. He looks like Don Cheadle and not Terrence Howard, and they're like, oh, it's a scroll.
Hang on, man. What?
The,
Well,
the
one, our friend Nick was at my place today, and
mm-hmm.
he has a problem listening with all the spoiler talk or whatever.
Yeah,
So Nick, if you're listening, don't skip ahead because I assume you're gonna watch Secret Invasion. So yeah.
sure, yeah.
Okay, at this point, spoilers,
Yeah,
spoilers,
yeah, yeah,
spoilers,
yeah,
spoilers,
yeah. I
spoilers.
haven't spoiled anything.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying Don Cheadle doesn't look like Terrence Howard
Because
because
he's a
he's a
scroll. That's
scroll.
the internet joke.
Oh,
That War
okay.
Machine. If anyone in the
I thought that
Marvel
was their
Cinematic,
answer to like why that, but they're like that doesn't make
that
sense
doesn't make any
because
sense because they
Tony.
they like take yeah, Tony would
Yeah, yeah.
recognize it, and they take the people and they really do as best as they can to live in those skins so they never change. So that's a, oh, what's his fucking name? the evil Disney or the evil Marvel guy that
Thanos?
no, an actual like executive. Like
Oh.
when they recast Don Cheadle, they're like, well, they don't really look alike. He was the one that says like all black people look alike. No one's gonna even notice. Like he's that big of a piece of shit. You know, doesn't want to do women superheroes because you can't sell a toy for him. Like real scumbag. Like you know he hangs out with Trump and like they're friends, actual friends. He's a bad dude, and I'm glad they don't listen to him and he's gone. He's a real scumbag. But the internet joke was that if anyone was to be a Skrull since the beginning, it's going to be Rhodey because it's inconsequential. Who cares? And then it's a funny joke to say because his casting got changed that
Sure.
he is a Skrull and everyone's just kind of going with it.
Got it. Okay.
But they did, there is a big thing. So spoilers for Secret Invasion for like 2 seconds. They killed Maria Hill. They shot her dead. But it's comic book. She could come back.
Sure.
Coulson could come back from, being stabbed by Loki's
Is anyone
spear.
really that upset?
No, yeah.
It's
Maria Hill she was only there to be someone for Nick Fury to talk to.
Sure.
So he's not talking directly to the camera. She's just there to help
Yeah, it's crazy to think she's been
exposition.
there since at least
Avengers 1.
Avengers
Yeah.
1, yeah. So that
Well,
was
only like
2012.
6 movies in,
Yeah, so she's been with she's been in the Marvel Universe for 11 years.
Yeah.
But she had nothing to do with this entire
Does she
time.
have family? Was she an orphan? We don't know anything about her, so killing her off is not a big deal. But they
Big
could
fan
just.
of Colby Smulders, though.
Oh yeah.
I didn't say that name right. Colby Smulders? There we go.
Yeah, I think he said Colby.
Yeah.
Like the cheese. Colby Jack cheese.
Big fan of that cheese.
Yeah, it's good cheese.
Yeah.
So yeah, Secret Invasion. It's only 1 episode in so far, but I'm enjoying it. It's fine, but obviously you're not going to. It's only 6 episods. But I'll let you know.
I'm done with the TV shows. I'll do Loki season 2, but that's it.
Okay. And I saw Nanda B Movies made a video about his first impressions, and apparently the intro was all AI generated.
I have seen the Reddit posts about
And
this, yeah.
I don't know. I think it looks fine. I think it works. It's not great looking, but a lot of AI generated art kind of it has a look. You kind of know that it is from seeing it. I think it works. I think a good point is most Marvel shows don't have intros. They have outros. They have like really cool outro credits, and the intro is just the title. So it's interesting that they even did this in the first place. But whatever. Watch his video. It's good shit. He also has a video about who should be the next X-Men director. And the guy's a genius. He breaks it down really, really well of like who seems obvious but probably wouldn't, and he has his 5 of these are probably like your best bets, and then he picks his final one at the end.
5? Spoilers for Nanda B movie videos.
Can I name the 5?
Or at least the movies that they directed.
One Noah Hawley, I think that's his name, from Legion.
Okay.
It's like he's worked with the X-Men. He knows this. But he's doing that Alien show right now, so he may not be able to be available. The 2 guys who did Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, yeah.
The Duffer Brothers.
Okay, makes sense.
What's the other singular? I mean, he did say like Jordan Peele would be great talking about social issues, in the context of a sci-fi show. That's his bag. That's what X-Men are, but he doesn't want to do things like that. He wants to do his own stuff, so he's out of the running.
I don't. As great as he is, I would not want him to do that. I want him to keep making original shit.
Oh yeah, he's in this lucky position that he doesn't have to ever answer to any studio and like, look what I've done. I'll keep doing that. If you don't want me to make it with your studio, I'll bring those millions of dollars elsewhere. So I don't blame him. Same with like Quentin Tarantino. Why do someone else's stuff when you could do your own shit? I can't think of the 5th person. I can't remember.
Okay.
But the winner is the woman who is directing the Marvels. And at first I was just like, yeah, why? We haven't even seen that. And he addresses it, but pretty much it boiled down to when she was asked about X-Men in an interview. She said she pitched a Scott Summers Storm movie, like a standalone, just those two. And his point is those are the two that have been the most underutilized in any movies, but they are the most important on the X-Men team in the comics. And it's always, they've been pushed aside for the Wolverine, Magneto, Professor X show.
Right.
And he felt, if you get that, if you understand that these are the two most important characters in the entire team and you wanted to make a movie for it, you're probably a good person to have a handle on this. So, yeah, I can't complain because of the director. She hasn't done a whole lot. So we'll see how good the Marvels is. And I just rewatched that trailer before something. It's looking more and more like a TV show every time I see it. It's kind of weak looking.
So the director of New Mutants was busy?
Yeah, extremely busy.
Josh Trank,
Josh Trank, yeah,
Fantastic Four,
yep.
he couldn't do it?
He couldn't do it
darn.
either, yeah.
All right.
The guy, Tim Story, who did Fantastic Four, he was
Silver
too busy.
Surfer was solid, man.
He did The Blackening just recently.
That's Tim Story?
Yeah, that was Tim Story. Yeah. The guy that did Daredevil and Ghost Rider, also busy.
Kevin Smith wasn't available?
Kevin Smith wasn't available. Damn. Don't let that guy direct anything. That's not, just more of his View Askew bullshit. Which I still got to see Jane Silent Bob 3. Or, no, Clerks 3.
Clerks 3.
Clerks
I do
3.
Too, yeah.
I know how it ends, though.
Don't tell me.
I won't say, I watched something and they just, had a bunch of spoilers throughout. I'm like, oh, cool, well, awesome.
Feeling I know how it ends, but...
Okay.
Yeah. Anywho,
so yeah, Secret Invasion, it's perfectly fine. But, as Nando said, they don't have a problem making a good first episode. They have problems with making a last episode.
Sure.
So we'll see. And you got a movie?
Yeah. You watched a movie, or you talked about a movie last week, and I hadn't seen it yet, and I finally got a chance to see it. I watched Extraction 2.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So...
Let's talk about Extraction 2 again.
Well, you briefly.
I know. I just don't have anything to say.
But now we can
say your thoughts, and then maybe I'll have something.
All right. So, I agree. This movie basically boils down to 3 action set pieces. Because the story I didn't really care for. You don't go to these movies for the story. You go for the action. And you have how do you up the stakes from the last one? It's just like, well, the first one is pretty simple. It's just I have to get this kid out of this crazy place. Where it's like, well, how do you make this character or raise the stakes, make this character care about something more? It's like, oh well, this group of people I'm saving is essentially related to me through my ex-wife. That's all well and good, but I didn't really care about that dynamic. Because it's like he's only loosely connected to them.
He's not blood relatives.
Yeah,
it's his ex-wife's sister and her kids. Yeah, it's his niece and nephew.
And then it does the thing where, well, you always have to have some cute, precocious little kid. Where it's like she just kind of existed. She didn't ever seem like she was in that much distress. She was just the
mother.
No, the little girl.
Oh, the little girl. Yeah, because it's the little boy show. That's a weird thing to say.
Because there's a teenage son and then the little girl, who's holding her stuffed animal or whatever. But they didn't do anything with her. It was just like, we need someone cute and small so you can be scared if she takes a bullet. Which I think... Go with me.
New father here, everyone.
It's like, I don't want this kid to die. But wouldn't it be something if the kid just took a bullet?
Yeah.
There's a point where she has a cut on her arm. I don't know if she caught a stray or if there was a debris that hit her or if she just scraped it as she was walking by. And they're like, oh, let's patch her up and they just put a bandage on it and it's over. She didn't cry. She didn't make a noise. It was just like, and I know you're going, oh, it's adrenaline, Steve. But it's just like, can't this girl I don't even think this girl ever screamed in terror, even though they had that line of, she's scared. Well, she's about to be terrified.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a funny line.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's a good line.
Yes.
But you can do something where, she got that scratch and wow, you're really brave. You didn't make a whole lot of noise. oh, she's got a fever. She's feeling sick. She's got tetanus or something. So now you have a more of a ticking clock of we got to get out of this building because the medicine's 3 blocks down, and we got
Sure.
yeah something, and it's something for the character except for nothing.
And I know working with smaller children can be hard sometimes because you got to find good actors. And
You
a lot of
wrote it
times
into
they're
the script, huh? You know, if you write a kid in the script, you gotta deal with it.
yeah, but so sometimes they're just there to be there and helps raise the stakes, but you don't want them to like act, and it's just a shame. It's just like if you put a character in there, I wish they just would have a thing to do, or even if she like, wouldn't it be cool if she killed a guy, even by
Oh,
like accident or
accident.
something,
Okay.
or they're uh, Chris Hemsworth is wrestling with a guy and they're holding a grenade or something like that, and she just runs up and pulls the pin and
And
it's
then,
like
that'd be great. They're doing a hot potato back and forth, then they pass it to the kid, and then they run away.
just something fun. But
Mm.
anyway, and then with the teenage boy, it's just like it's so fucking annoying when they do because there's always the he's the reason everyone's getting killed and all this bad stuff happens. And it's like you should realize your uncles and your families are like big pieces of shit. It's like
Mm-hmm.
they're you. It's not like it's a secret they're in a evil crime organization.
Sure.
And it's like I get like
He's raised by in this group, and
I get it, but
but
it's
see
like
it from our perspective as an American looking outside. You should just see it from us.
I just think it could have been handled better as to why this kid cared so much because
Yeah.
it's not like his life was great. Like usually when we see the son of a crime lord, even if he's kind of not quite in the world yet, at least
Mm-hmm.
he's living in a mansion and there's like
Yeah.
money involved.
Like
And
the motherfucker in Kick Ass.
yeah, it's like I've always felt protected and safe because my dad like
Mm-hmm.
he loves me and I don't realize that he like I know he might do some illegal stuff, but I've never seen anything bad. But it's like this kid is living in a prison
Yeah.
filled with a bunch of murderers and rapists
Mm-hmm.
with his family, and it's like nothing good.
Hearing your dad slap your mom
Yeah,
in
it's
a
like
fight because they think you're asleep.
yeah, it just doesn't seem like why you want to stick around for this.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's characters, and Chris Hemsworth is Chris Hemsworth.
Mm-hmm.
Who gives a shit? Uh,
Did you ever figure out his name? Is it Jake Rake?
it's Tyler Rake.
Tyler Rake.
Yeah, Tyler
Okay.
Rake.
Tyler. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, it's Tyler.
Oh, I mean, I just can't think of an action besides like Tyler Durden, but that's not an action movie. It's just a weird name for an action star.
Tyler Rake.
Tyler Rake.
I think if as long as you do that kind of voice, any name sounds
My
cool.
name's Tyler Rake. Yeah, if Jason Statham can say it and it sounds cool, then it's fine.
Yeah, I think that tracks. So anyway, basically, first action sequence, the 21-minute long or however long it is,
Mhm.
single take in quotation
Yeah.
marks. Pretty great.
It's a good scene, yeah.
I was curious as to how the camera would travel because I know it goes from like prison to car chase to train sequence,
Mhm.
and it's all done pretty seamlessly. Like
Yeah.
obviously you can see where some special effects jump in or where some cuts happen, but obviously they're not trying to really hide that.
Yeah.
It's obvious where
Try to
those
make it
are,
as smooth
but
as
it's just as
possible.
smooth as possible.
Yeah.
And I think they do a very impressive job. And I think, especially that big sort of not cell block,
Like the prisoner brawl.
the prisoner brawl out in the
Yeah.
yard.
And his arms on fire.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool things that happen there. It reminded me of the raid
Mhm.
prison scene from the
Sure.
Raid 2. That the raid scene is better though.
Yeah.
By far, it's more brutal and feels more real because this definitely feels like an action movie sequence. Just because there is some silly stuff in it, but it's still a ton of fun. Car chase sequence was fine. I'm tired of like goons coming up in like motorcycles, and I know
Mhm.
having motorcycles sort of gives your chase more of a dynamic feel because it's different styles of enemies. You know, there's different
Sure.
things you could do with motorcycles. It just seems so dumb that you would just be on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
You're just asking to
Yeah.
die.
You're gonna get kicked off or you're gonna be shot. You
Yeah.
have no protection.
You're chasing down armored cars and guys with machine guns. It's like I'm just gonna be in the open.
Mhm.
It just seems silly. But anyway, Uh, but the train sequence, I really, really
Mm-hmm.
liked. I liked the close quartersness of it. I liked taking down of the helicopters, how the camera like moves outside the train and then back into the train and then up on top. It's really, really impressive stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wish the rest of the movie lived up to that. There's some really good stuff in the second action sequence in the building,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but it just there's so much gunplay in that sequence, and gunplay is hard to really make entertaining. I think after a while, like it kind of runs its course, where it's
Sure.
just like, okay, it's been like 10 minutes of just people shooting at each
Yeah.
other.
How
Uh,
many tables can you dive behind? And
yeah,
like when the helicopter is using that minigun and just blowing away, the good thing there's a kitchen island here that can stop any bullet ever. It's ripping apart the entire living room, but that kitchen island, perfect.
that's that pure marble, man. Yeah, so but the big, I guess, fun part of that sequence is the gymnasium fight, or the
Gymnasium.
not gymnasium. That's not the right word.
Oh, just the
Just
the
the
the gym.
the gym. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, with the
but
treadmill part.
the
Yeah.
treadmill part, and he like kicks a mechanism that sort of drops weights on a guy's head and
Yeah.
smashes it. Like that's
Yeah.
really fun. He like pulls a guy down, kind of uses I think it as a human shield, and he's like attached to a wire, and then lets go, and the guy flies forward.
Yep. Yep.
There's some fun stuff there. I just wish. I mean, you can't do a ton without it feeling like Home Alone,
Yeah.
but when you only have kind of like two little things, it's like I kind of want to see what else he can do in here,
Yeah.
because I just feel like there'd be so much fun options. But that scene was pretty good. I think it just got overplayed with the gun stuff because it just seemed like it just kept going and going
Yeah.
and going and
I did like the stairwell fight. There was like the evil woman henchman and then good brother guy. I
yeah,
don't
his
really.
name was Yav, I think, or Zav,
Sure,
or something like that.
sure.
Yeah.
I like their little back and forth. That
Mm-hmm.
was a good scene.
Yeah, it's just you also have it's like the only way to make sort of gunplay fun, and John Wick does it the best because all the gunplay mostly is close quarters combat,
Mm-hmm.
so you have to really bring it in, and then but then it's also that thing of like, well, all these guys have guns, but they keep trying to do hand to hand stuff. So
Yeah.
just shoot the other person
Uh huh.
in the face. But we haven't talked about Chris Hemsworth two backup people. I thought they were pretty good. I
Yeah.
mean, character wise, there's not a whole lot there,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
Their
but
brother and sister.
brother and sister. But I thought they were pretty
Yeah.
badass. So I thought they were fun. And
I
was
really
she?
thought they both were gonna
Were
die.
they in the last one?
Don't ask me, man.
Okay,
Well,
great. Because
I
I don't
think
remember.
I kind of remember her. I don't remember him.
Yeah,
But I only watched that movie once and never went back.
I feel like I don't know if this is true. I feel like she was just kind of like a someone he talked to in the first one, maybe like
Maybe
what do you call it? Like
like the man in the chair,
the
or
kind of yeah, no, not the man in the chair. Uh, whatever, a contact of some sort.
okay,
But I honestly don't remember if she was in it at all. Uh, and then the third set piece was over in like 3 minutes. In terms of
mm,
like, here's all these henchmen. He kills them all pretty much instantly. I like that
mm-hmm,
he has a rocket launcher and kind of, or not a rocket launcher, a grenade launcher, and just
mm-hmm.
blows up all their transportation really
Oh
quick.
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
you're not going anywhere.
Uh huh.
And then
You're locked in here with me.
and then he just kind of kills the two guys that were left over really
Mm-hmm.
quick, and then it's just the big final hand to hand fight, which is pretty brutal. There's some good stuff in there, but it just kind of seems so anticlimactic after such big
Sure,
action set
sure.
pieces. But I guess after you kill enough of their guys, it's like who's left with the the final boss.
Yeah.
Uh, and they had that bomb vest and didn't do anything with it. I thought it was
Mm,
that bomb vest was going to come back into play.
yeah.
Um, and I kind of wish she died too.
Yeah.
Like I wanted it to be okay. We stopped the bad guy. We saved this shitty kid and his family, but it cost me my two best friends or
Yeah.
something. But it's always just like, well, we can get rid of the guy who just showed up for this movie, and well, we can't kill the girl because she. I mean, not that I need her to be gone. Like I'm sure she could be fun and
Mm-hmm.
seemingly the third one. Um, but yeah, it's just story wise by the numbers, but action wise pretty solid. But I think it's just other movies have done it better.
Sure. Yeah. And they're gonna they're gonna pull a High School Musical,
Ooh,
and the third one will probably be in theaters. So, uh,
I'll take it.
and Idris Elba was shoehorned in here, doing his 2 days of work,
Yeah,
of sitting down and being cocky and just explaining, oh, you thought I was the lead guy? No, man, the guy I work for, can't even wait to see
crazy
this guy.
motherfucker.
It's gonna be a few years, but you'll meet him, and then there'll be the speculation of
Yeah.
who is the
Is it
guy.
Tom Hiddleston?
Yeah.
Is it Robert Downey Jr.?
Hmm.
Chris Evans?
I mean, it
Or
would
just
make sense if it was Hiddleston, because then you got the three Thor boys. Um, it could be. I would hope they would go non-Marvel because not everyone. It's
yeah,
hard to go non-Marvel since everybody is in
yeah.
Marvel, but
Idris Elba being in here just made me think of Ghosted with Chris Evans. It just brings
yeah,
back Sebastian
yeah,
Stan and Anthony Mackie. Just like
exactly.
have Tom Hiddleston
But do
or
something.
Carl Urban or something.
Do Tom Hiddleston, but I want like short hair, bleach blonde, spiky uh James Gunn type hair. Give him like a scar over his eye, and one of them's
Just
milky
make him
white.
the DC Joker. You know.
Something, yeah, like really fuck him up, so he's not just like, oh look, there's Loki.
So what would you like to see from Extraction 3, assuming there will be one?
Uh, I
How
don't
do you sort of
know.
top that sequence?
You, you got. I think there's gonna be a long take because that's like their thing, I guess. But I want to see kind of like what Mission Impossible does. Every movie they go bigger, but it's kind of different every time. And
Hmm.
it's not just we're in this country and we're doing a long take. Now we're in this country and we're doing a long take. They seem to really spice it up. But I don't know what you do with Jake Rake. He's just like a guy who's got to get
Tyler Rick.
got to get a thing. Um, so I don't know. Whatever the third thing, like the main bad guy is, I hope he puts him through something that's either a revenge for some past thing. Like, oh,
Hmm.
you don't remember me because my fucked up Tom Hiddleston face. Uh, we used to go to boot camp together, and you beat me with a battery and a tube sock or something, and now I'm getting revenge. I don't know. Either that or he's forced to do something he didn't want to do. Like he has to kill a mother and child, and then it's him going, "How dare you? This wasn't the job. Now I'm going to take down you,
Hmm.
your henchman, your Idris Elba," and it'll just be that, and then a long take, of course.
I think you should get Chris Hemsworth brothers
Oh.
to be in it, and they're the enemies. And it's like we used to be family, or he didn't realize he had brothers, or there was an explosion because he grew up on an explosion farm when he was a kid, and
Grass fed explosions.
yeah, and his he thought his two brothers died in an explosion, but really they've
Mm,
been running the criminal underground, and they're here to take down their brother for some stupid reason. So you
okay.
just have all the Hemsworths just fighting it out.
Okay, cool.
That's my
I'm okay
stupid
with
ass
it.
pitch.
And I'm sure the Hemsworths are just like, yeah, I'll take the free paycheck. Whatever. Who
Yeah.
cares? So I got one more thing and then we get to our main topic. I've been waiting to tell you about this one because I know you're itching with anticipation of knowing the further tales of Negan and Maggie
Oh my
and
god.
The Walking Dead presents
Pass.
Dead City.
Pass.
I didn't even realize this came. I knew I saw a commercial. I didn't know Fear the Walking Dead came back. I'm behind on that. I'm I didn't know Regis Gemstones was coming back. I'm out of the loop. I'm losing my touch. So let me tell you, this show is perfectly fine
I doubt
story
it.
wise. It looks good. It's nice to see
I
cities.
doubt it.
It's nice to not have to deal with just Georgia fields and trees.
Sure.
So it gives a little more variety. But the problem is at the end of Walking Dead, they kind of came to a resolution, and Maggie told Negan, "I'll never forgive you, but I'm just tired of hating you." And they just kind of like fist bump and go their own ways. So we were done. But I think the creators of the show went, well, everybody knows they hate each other, even if they stopped watching Walking Dead. They know these two have a rivalry, so we can't start the show with them being on good terms. So right from the get go, she's at 11, pulling knives on him, and just like I'm gonna fucking kill you. And even Negan's like, where's this coming from? You know, I thought everything was hunky dory, and then here you come after me again. Well, basic premise, and they do it in the show. Like within 2 minutes, they give you the whole plot. Negan, bad man. He's been all around the country, and there's a new place called like New Babylon, and this is they have their own rules and their own sheriffs and yada yada. But like Negan killed one of these sheriffs, and we don't know the full story yet of why he did it, but everybody knows his past, so he's a wanted man, and he's been on the run trying to help this young girl. Maggie needs his help because her son, Herschel Jr., was kidnapped by a man. He was called like the Armenian or something like that. This man was part of Negan's gang, and Negan's like, "Oh yeah, I remember that guy. We had a nice crop of psychopaths in my team, but he was especially crazy." But this guy has now kind of started his own group of people on the island of Manhattan, and it's kind of a no-go zone. It's just when the outbreak came, they blew up the bridges, they locked down Manhattan and said, "You're fucked. We're trying to quarantine it." Of course, it didn't work. So nobody really goes because you have to go by boat, and there's just tons of corpses in the water from people just walking out into the ocean. Uh,
Cool, cool.
yeah. And so she's like, "You help me get my son, because whether you can sweet talk him into getting him back because you guys used to be buddies, or you help me kill him and get him back, you help me, I will keep you safe from the law that's coming after you. And if you don't help me, I'm gonna just go find them and tell them where you are." And he says, "Fine, deal, but you have to take this young girl and take her to Hilltop or one of the your encampments so she could have a fine life." And so then they're off to an adventure, and they're on the island, and there's some kind of fun things. They're walking through these dead streets, and all the zombies that are like in buildings just like see them, and they just start walking out of glass, and they're just face planting into the street. That's pretty gross, pretty cool. There's a new sheriff who he kind of reminds me of like if you mix Morgan and Negan and Father Stupid Fuck from The Wire. I always forget his name.
Gabriel.
Gabriel, thank you. It's like he's kind of like he seems like a mixture of all of them, and New Babylon's got rules and yada yada yada. Yeah, and he's on their tail. At first, there's a part where Maggie rolls into like this bar, this old motel, and there's like neon signs up, and I'm like, what the fuck? This is the fucking zombie apocalypse. They're serving alcohol. They have neon signs. This is ridiculous. But then I forgot, we're like 15 years into the apocalypse. There was a big time jump. It may
Okay,
even be closer to 20 years. So there would be a semblance of people trying to do the things that they used to.
sure.
So I had to let that slide. This isn't year one and people have booze and stuff. Like always, I'll keep tuning in until they give us our resolution with Rick. I'll keep watching, I guess. But this isn't bad. It just feels like
Forced.
it is forced, and it's funny that Maggie, her name is. You're good with this.
The actress's name?
Yes,
Shit. It's like Lauren
Conrad.
Conrad? Yeah.
She left Walking Dead for a bit. No, Lauren Conrad's from like The Hills, right?
Lauren
Cohen
Cohen. Lauren Co.
Coaster. Lauren Roller Coaster.
I'm in the ballpark.
Okay, Lauren
That's the
Roller
point.
Coaster. She left Walking Dead in one of the seasons because she was gonna have her own show on NBC or something, and it tanked hard, so she had to come crawling back. I just find it funny that she's had to. I mean, it's good for her. She gets her own spin-off show where it's her and Jeffrey D. Morgan. They're the stars,
And
but
Bruce Wayne's parents.
and Bruce Wayne's parents. Yes. Uh,
Lauren Cohen.
okay.
With an A, not an E.
Okay. Lauren Roller Coaster. Got it. Uh, but it's funny that like I'm gonna finally get out from Walking Dead. I'm gonna get my own show. Oh crap, it got canceled. Okay, at least I have Walking Dead to fall back on, and I'll stick with it until something else comes along. Anybody want Lauren Roller Coaster for anything? And like, nope. fine, I guess I'll do the Walking Dead fucking
Yeah,
spinoff. Why not? I get to be a badass, and it is, relatively popular
they'll
character.
pay me a ton of
A
money.
ton of money. It'll be the thing I'm known for all my life. There's no escaping it now. And maybe when I hit 45, I can start getting better roles. Uh, so yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but it's I'll keep watching. I want to see some. Oh, and there's this fucking guy. One of the sheriff's deputies is with him, and they're tracking him, and they get him into a dry cleaning area, and they lock the front door, and it's just a double door glass door like a storefront, and they put a little chair or something in it to block it, and there's all these zombies banging on it. It's like nobody gets in or out. You stay put here, and the guy stands. And he's waiting, and you could hear you could hear the glass cracking, and they just pour in. He doesn't even like turn around to start shooting them. He just like lets them eat them. You're like, you dumb! What a stupid character that you just stand there and let yourself get eaten. You've been living in this apocalyptic world for 15 to 20 years now, and you've survived this long, and you turn your back on a glass door zombies. We've seen these things push against brick walls and take out parts of buildings because enough people are pushing on it. You think a glass door is going to stop them? It is ridiculous, absolutely stupid. But I'm having fun. There's a new episode tonight, and maybe we can make it our weekly watch. Instead of Game of Thrones or something or Barry, we start watching Walking Dead presents Dead City.
I mean, as of right now, Jesus Christ, The Walking Dead makes my eyes hurt.
I thought you were
I'm
gonna say my penis shrivel.
well, that too. Uh, I mean, our weekly watch is It's Always Sunny right now.
Yeah, but it's not together.
Oh, I see
You
what you're
know.
saying. Okay, my apologies. Well, I will consider watching something else with you.
Okay, fine. There was an ad for another show that I want to watch. It was the Daryl Dixon show. We can start that one. Daryl Dixon.
So, no hard feelings is our main topic tonight.
Before we get to no hard feelings, though, can I just mention Sunny real quick?
Okay, man.
Did you watch the new
Of course.
episode? Like Return of a Classic with the Dennis system. When he first starts doing it, I'm like, we're doing the Dennis system again. We don't need to revisit it. But I was very surprised that they never did again. Like they got it all out of their system that first time. So then he's doing the letters, and I'm like, oh, it's going to be Sinner.
Yeah, that's
That
what I thought
makes
it was
the
going to
most
be.
sense. And then it was Sinned, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound as cool. But then when he flipped it around and that it was Dennis, I was just as blown away as Mac was. I did not see that coming. But speaking of Mac, is he the dumbest motherfucker now? Like, they have turned him into the biggest idiot in the show. And I'm fine with it. Like,
Yeah, I feel
Charlie
like
comes.
Charlie's gotten smarter in the past couple
Yes, I
seasons.
feel because Charlie Day is like a good actor and he's not like slumming it anymore. Like, he's not deep diving into how gross he is. I feel like he's becoming like a real normal person, but Mac has just become an absolute idiot, and I'm totally there for it. That's why Mac is one of the best. He went from like my least favorite in the early seasons to one of my favorites. His line delivery is just so funny, so embarrassing. He's just a great character.
Yeah, I see so many things about people talk about, and character arc is a very strong term. But just go with me here. Where it's like you'll see someone's like, I can't believe that Zuko has one of the greatest character arcs ever. It's like he was a bad guy, and then he kind of wanted to be a good guy, but then he went
Ooh.
back to being a bad guy, but now he's good again.
Yeah.
Whoa!
Wow.
It's like that's every sort of
Mm-hmm.
rival character that's ever been
Yeah.
in anything.
Yep.
But like this guy, now he might not have changed as a person,
Yes.
but he's gone from like straight guy to fat guy to gay guy to buff gay guy to just dumbass. He like Mac as a character has just gone every sort of which way in both
Mm-hmm.
body and mind
Mm-hmm.
for this show, and it's very impressive that you have not only the star of the one of the stars of the show, but the creator of the show itself just
Yeah.
go like, yeah, I this is my thing, and I'm gonna treat my body however I need to
Mm-hmm.
for a joke,
And
and
I'm
it's
gonna make
really
myself
impressive.
look absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
And I want to congratulate Danny DeVito in really going for it in everything that he does on this show.
Hmm.
The last 5 minutes is him like suffering through a vibrating butt plug, and every little sound and face he made, and just him going like, take your time. It's just absolutely magical. He's so funny in this. But on the flip of that, I think that they're not doing enough with Dee. She hasn't done
Hmm.
shit this season. And it could be her telling her husband, I want to be on the show, but I don't care. I'm not so tied to this character that I have to have a standalone episode or be equal. She's not Vin Diesel and The Rock, and like I
Yeah.
got to have equal screen time of everybody else.
She might have been doing other
She could
stuff
have been doing other
where
stuff, and or it could just
um
be the boys going, "No, this is our stuff," and fuck you, D,
might
your
be spending more
background.
time with her kids.
It could be all types of things, but I just want to see more of her since she is my favorite. They keep showing ads for like the bowling episode. I don't know if you've
Hmm.
seen. I want to see the return of Gail the Snail and Artemis and Waitress. I'm looking forward to that. I thought it was going to be an earlier episode, but it may be like the season finale on
I think
film.
it's the episode before the last one. I looked it
Okay,
up.
okay,
Um, I think the gang goes bowling is episode 7, and episode 8 is called Dennis takes a mental health day or something
okay,
like that.
okay.
So I know it's not the finale.
All right, all right. Now let's get to our main topic.
Okay.
Weird main topic for us. Usually we do big genre movies, the major blockbusters, the sci-fi and special effects spectacle type
Yep.
movies. But we went with a small, lower budget boner comedy called No Hard Feelings.
Is that what the kids are calling them?
They're called boner
Boner
comedies, yeah.
comedy? Okay.
I mean, usually a boner comedy is like Revenge of the Nerds,
Sure.
but
People who
this
can get boners.
nerds.
Well, no, I just mean like typically when you think of sex comedies about here's a dork trying to have sex,
Uh
which
huh.
this is, but it's more about a woman trying to get a dork to have sex.
And yeah, and
So
he's being
it's a
like
little bit of an inverse on it.
a little bit, yeah, but I'm still gonna call it a boner comedy.
That's fair. I'm just splitting pubic hairs here.
Ah, so
No hard feelings.
yeah, Steve, let us just give me a quick synopsis. I don't
I
even know where to start for this movie, really.
I would love to. No Hard Feelings, starring Jennifer Lawrence and Andrew Barth Feldman, directed and written by Gene Spitnitsky. Uh,
Okay,
I apologize if I fucked up your name. Uh, on the brink of losing her home,
you're cheating.
I don't
Oh,
care.
I want your synopsis.
On the brink of losing her home, Maddie finds an intriguing job listing. Helicopter parents looking for someone to bring their introverted 19-year-old son out of his shell before college. She has one summer to make him a man or die trying. Weird.
Or die trying.
Yeah, I
The mob isn't coming after her. She doesn't have to like get money, or they're gonna break her knees or something. That's a weird way of putting it.
yeah.
I mean, I guess
That's
like
last
or
time I
die trying because she goes to such extremes to get him to have
sure.
sex with her that she almost
There's
hurts
some
herself.
stunts in this
There's
movie.
some physical comedy. I okay. I'm gonna start with you.
Okay, great.
Did you even like this movie?
For the most part, yeah, I did.
Okay. Were you disappointed at all? Were you let down? Did it exceed expectations?
No,
Middle of the
definitely
road?
didn't exceed expectations. I think that this movie solely survives on the two leads. I think
Mm-hmm.
they both are really, really good.
Yes.
And I think the concept is good. I think that
Apparently based off of a real like Craigslist ad.
doesn't surprise me. Uh, I think the problem with it is uh, one, there isn't much of an ensemble, and I think
Mm,
all the best comedies, even when it is sort of about two main characters, has a lot of fun side characters.
sure. Yeah.
Like if you look at uh, Superbad, for example, probably one of
Mm-hmm.
the great comedies of the past 20 years or whatever. It's uh, Jonah Hill and Michael Cera; those are your two leads, but you have um, Emma Stone and Christopher Mintz-Plasse and
Bill
Seth Rogen and Bill
Hader.
Hader. Like, there's so many characters that, while not necessarily super important to the story, all play into it, and they're
Mm-hmm.
all really, really funny. Like, anytime you leave Jonah or Michael Cera's characters, you're laughing at all the other stuff, but you never have a scene without Jennifer Lawrence. Really,
Mm-hmm.
might have brief moments with just Andrew's character. I forget his name in the actual movie.
Yeah.
Damn it!
I don't know.
But the
This,
point is, I kind of wish her
like her two friend
her two
couple.
friends were more like
Sure.
both those people have I've seen other
Yeah, she was
comedies,
in Parks and Rec.
and he was in the Mick.
He was, oh my god, he's
Uh,
so good in the Mick.
yeah,
He was also
like
in Righteous Gemstones season one. He's
both
so good.
both perfectly good comedians, but it just they didn't really have that much to do other than go, girl, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Next scene, kind of
Yeah.
thing, you know.
Awkward joke. Women look at the
Yeah, it's
guy.
like you have Matthew Broderick, now not known as a big huge comedy star, but you know he's
Very
been
good.
around for a
Yeah.
long time. I know he can do jokes. It just seems like why the fuck is he this
I don't
kid's
know.
dad? It seems like he's just wasted here.
Yeah. With a
Um,
bad wig.
it's it's just kind of a shame. And then two, I think it. My other criticism of the movie is that I think the first third or so, even the first half, is pretty funny. There's a constant, raunchiness. Whether it works or not is one thing, but it's really trying to sort of like creep you out. And I think she really sells it. And
Mm-hmm.
then the back sort of third or half is you lose a lot of the jokes to sort
Mm-hmm.
of uh, and you kind of lean into more of a dramatic heart wrenching
And a
side.
lot of these, you
And
you
yeah,
have to do this.
of
You have to
course,
do a point where they're at their lowest and they find out that it was she's all that, and it was a bet the whole time, and
of course,
then
yeah.
and then they have a falling out, and then they got to come back together and kiss in the end. It
But I just
follows.
feel like usually there's jokes, even in those serious moments, there's jokes interplaced in there, so you can
Hmm.
still remind yourself that you're watching a comedy where there's not so much of that in the back half or
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. I thought this movie was going to be a little more ridiculous. I thought it would be more like a Fairley Brothers movie where
Hmm.
you would have someone zipping their penis up in their fly, or, trying to choke out a cow after you hit it with your car. Something that's a little grosser, a little more extreme. Like the throat punch he gives her and she knocks down the shelf. That kind of gets to that me, myself, and Irene level,
Hmm.
but then it pulls it back really quick. He tries to have sex with her and he finishes before anything really. That would have been a bigger, grosser scene. There, her legs would have gotten stuck together or something, or she would walk off, and the blanket still stuck to her. I was expecting a little bit more of that,
Yeah.
and it's pulled back. There's like two major things where there's someone on the hood of a car and you got to outrace the train, or they run through a fire and go into the ocean. That's a little extreme.
Hmm.
And then the naked beach fight was extremely extreme, not expecting that at all. But there was no other part where I thought we'd get more. So, like at the party, everyone's filming her
Hmm.
because she's not relating to these kids, and she said something un PC or whatever. That doesn't come back at all to bite her in the ass. There's no real jokes behind it besides she says something like redacted or I take it back, and then walks off, and then that's the end. I think that whole scene could have had a lot. I love the part where the two young girls look at her and they start laughing and she just does that back at them. I
Hmm.
wish there was more of older lady at a young person
Right,
party
right,
and
right.
how awkward that they're a bit more of that.
Yeah, because you also have so you do two things there. One, the movie also has this whole sort of B story, not really, but kind of, where it's just like, oh, all these rich people are coming into our town and
Mm-hmm.
making things expensive and worse, and it's sort of just like you would think that the movie would want to lean into the lower class versus the upper class kind of
Sure.
thing, but there's
Yeah.
really not much done with that. And then at the party, it's like, oh well, it's old people versus young people kind of thing, and there's some okay jokes in that party, but it's that party's over in the span of like 3 minutes,
Yeah.
and like her walking into all the rooms and everyone's just like on their phones and playing VR. It's just like, does no one fuck anymore?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, because we're used to the sex comedies where, or just we're watching Euphoria and everybody's fucking or
Yeah.
whatever. It's just that's what.
Or you open up one and there's like people playing bongos and it's all smoky, and then there's like a monkey with a Rastafarian hat in, and then they just close the door awkwardly.
Yeah. So I like there's ideas here that I just don't think gets explored. It would have been funny, not necessarily funny because I feel like the joke's kind of played out. But it's like, oh, these kids are just calling her, oh, hey, boomer, or something. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
well, she's like 20 years too young to be a boomer, but it's
Yeah.
just oh, she's an
She's
old.
like 40 years too young to be a boomer.
I don't know what
You
the
got to be in the
yeah,
70s.
I don't know what the age bracket is,
Yeah.
but it's just the go-to word for like, oh, you're old
You're
and you don't
old,
get
yeah.
us and stuff. And
But
so
that's a good joke. They call her boomer and she would have something funny to retort with. There's a joke and there's nothing.
yeah, I think I think the other thing I thought about this movie is she reminded me a lot of Caitlin Olsen,
Okay.
Dee
Oh,
from It's
this
Always
would be
Sunny.
a total D plot.
Yeah, because it's just when she switches from like being super sweet, like when they're in the water together, and she's
Hmm.
just like trying to make it all sexy, and then she's just like, "Come on, let's fuck you! Don't be a fucking pussy!" Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of
Get in the
stuff.
fucking water.
Yeah, it screamed classic Caitlin Olsen sort
Yeah.
of antics,
Oh, when
and
Dee was reaching under and like, what are you doing? Like touching your ding dong or whatever.
I know we're going back to It's
Yeah.
Always Sunny, but her saying it might be one of my favorite lines in Sunny history, where she's like, "Guess who got a guts pump?"
Get myself some mama beans and went out and stole a phone.
Anyway, so It's Always Sunny is great. Anyway, back to the No Hard Feelings.
Yeah, this would be a good Caitlin Olsen movie.
Yeah,
It's a little too late. She's a bit too old for this role,
yeah, I
but
think if she was in her 20s and a huge star, I think she
hmm
would have knocked this sort of, or even if, because I feel like going back to Sunny, this is kind of a plot of season
when she
one
was
or two.
holding the carrying the baby, right? She was going to be a
No,
surrogate.
well, that, but no, I was thinking more of the underage drinking episode where she is dating a young guy,
Oh
and it's kind of
yeah,
like, oh, well, I'm too old for you, and it's just
yeah,
whatever. But it just kind of reminded me of that and her
yeah. But she would
grossness
totally.
and
I mean, she bangs
not getting
people.
children.
She bangs people for spite. Of course, she would do it for a car.
Sure. Um, but I think the movie does a good job of not making it creepy.
Yes,
Because, like,
it's walking that line though.
yeah, but I'm saying it does a very good job of it's still raunchy and it's still kind of adorable and it's still um, it still works despite like both of these people are adults,
Hmm.
but he's still very much a
He's a
young.
teenager
He's a
though.
teenager and a dweeb, and he's inexperienced. And here's essentially a sex worker trying
Hmm.
to
Bring him out of the shell.
bring him out of his shell. Yeah,
But yeah, I think
and I'm sure there's plenty of articles that have mentioned this. I don't. It'd be I think nearly impossible to switch roles in this and make it. I think you could make it a funny comedy. I think people would just have a problem with it.
yeah, yeah, because some of the comedy comes would be from yeah, she's willing to do this, but she's not happy about it. You switch those roles. You know what? I'm cutting all that. I was gonna say you have a 33, 32-year-old dude that and their parents are saying, "Fuck our 19-year-old daughter." He's gonna jump at that, so it doesn't work.
Or I don't think he necessarily jump at. It'd be one of those things where here's my two pitches on how you do that,
Okay.
and this is not necessarily important to us discussing this movie, but you do it either A, as in he says he's going to do it, but of course he's like, I'm not going to fuck a 19-year-old. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And then, you'd have that one buddy character who's like, dude, is she hot? Like,
Yeah.
you could do it. She's an adult. It's like, yeah, but I'm not a piece of shit. I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to like let her know. And then they kind of like hit it off and just become friends. And he's like, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm just going to do this to steal, to like get the car or whatever. So he's like, it's just, he's a good person from the get go. He's just
Okay.
scamming the parents to do the thing,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe the teenage girl's like kind of does fall for him, and he's just like no, like and
Yeah.
helps guide her come out of her shell and then find a boy in her age range.
Yeah.
That's one way you could do it,
Mm-hmm.
or it's you eliminate the parents altogether, and the 19-year-old girl's like Google's find a male escort or whatever, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like I want to do this, and the guy is whether he's a male escort or not is just kind of like okay, well, we can do this, but we're gonna check all these boxes to make sure we're gonna do everything else before we do that. Like that's gonna be our last resort kind of thing. Not as in like we're gonna do hand stuff. I just mean like, oh, you feel socially awkward, you don't feel pretty. Like I'm gonna do all these things to sort of guide you into like how to become a more outgoing person. And if you still want to do this at the end, we can
Mm-hmm.
because you're an adult and you're a paying customer and we can do that.
Yeah.
But I also you know, I don't typically have sex with 19-year-olds or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Like, there's ways you could do that sex comedy,
Yeah.
but really have to make the good like that guy way better than everybody
and
else.
and really the lead who wants this plan put into motion needs to be the woman. You can't have the woman's parents
Yeah, yeah,
pimping
that's
her out.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
weird. So she would get her like, she's 19, or let's just make her 21. They should have made this kid 21. I know he's going off to college and that's probably a little too old. They could have found a workaround, but the fact that he's still a teenager makes it a little weird. But so her thing would be she just wants to get it done. It's been too long. Everybody else has done it. So she gets like her kooky neighbors to pretend to be her parents and she sets it up so she knows the scheme the whole time. And, maybe because she doesn't want to just outright pay for a hooker, she wants it to feel special. And so she puts these parameters on this sex worker to take her on dates and wine and dine and flirt with her and make her feel good. That makes her more okay with losing her virginity through a sex worker.
Yeah.
Bing, bang, boom.
So I think it can be done. It's just you have to be real careful.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think most studios would be like, no, we're not
No,
doing
we're not
this.
doing this.
We'll have Jennifer Lawrence hit on, you know, a
Yeah,
young boy because no one cares.
yeah. You get if you're gonna make the guy a total creep who gets the girl in the end, they gotta at least be around the same age. You
Sure.
start making them older. Too many implications.
Okay, so back to the movie. We have them when she realizes she can't just sort of flirt her way into just having sex with
Mm-hmm.
this kid on the first or second date and then it's over. She's like, okay, well, he needs a human connection. He wants me to be, nice to him. They go on dates and they're holding hands, and they meet his nanny, which is Kyle Mooney from
Yeah,
SNL, which I thought
another
was a
great side character that they could have done more with.
yeah. Yeah, there's lots of great comedians in this movie. It's just they're in it so briefly. It's just I just wish there was more time with them. Uh, but it just feels like their relationship was so quick. I couldn't tell if this whole relationship lasted the majority of the summer
Yeah.
or if it was like a week. Because then when they have their prom date, he says, I love you to her.
Mm-hmm.
And it just didn't really feel earned to
Yeah.
me. Like, I understand, well, this is his first girl that's showed him any
He's
affection. And
infatuated with her.
I can buy he could get attached very, very quickly. But it just didn't feel, because she was so mean half the time, it didn't feel
Mm-hmm.
like I don't know. And I know, like, young love, a girl can be mean to you, and
Yeah.
you're oblivious to it because you're just happy to be kissing somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. We've all been there. Uh, but I just felt like it needed a little bit more as to why they were like he was so into her, other than just being a human woman that talks to him.
I
Uh,
really think that may have been it.
yeah, I guess. I like that they're how they built their friendship in the end,
Mm-hmm.
and I liked that they showed him playing video games and like he was kind of doing things where you could expect him, especially being a kid of a rich parent. I think it was very you could have easily made him a total shithead, like not
Entitled piece of shit.
entitled
Yeah.
piece of shit who maybe talks who's like has toxic behavior online and stuff.
Yeah.
He would have been like the kid from Knives Out,
Okay.
uh, the
Yeah.
Republican
Oh
one or
yeah.
whatever. Not necessarily like an incel or anything, but just kind of like
But that
because
could make it for a good movie
girls don't
too.
like it's like yeah what if part of the comedy was I need to convert this kid from being an incel. It's like because I can't have sex with this kid because he fucking sucks,
Yeah. And
but
he's
i
just gonna
also
brag about banging some hot
but I
babe.
also need to have sex with this kid so I can get my car. So it's like
Yeah.
I need to figure out a way for me to in my mind like him enough to do this
Yeah.
because like I could maybe hate have sex with him,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I think there could have been more fun ways to show the dynamic between this young person and this older person, or
Mm-hmm.
this rich kid and this poor person, when it's just like, well, yeah, I grew up with money and you didn't, so that makes us a little different, and yada yada yada. It just there were so many missed opportunities, I think, for comedy, but I still enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I enjoyed it too. I think that would make for a real fun movie. That his parents are so scared of what he's going to become when he goes to college. Because if he's this bad now of being an incel and being just an absolute misogynist, but never really truly talking to any women in his real life, when he goes to college, he's only gonna those ideals are going to maybe be reinforced. He's going to find similar people. We need to nip this in the bud now. Otherwise, our precious baby's going to grow up to be a Nazi. So please, Jennifer Lawrence, you know, fuck it out of him. But and then that's her struggle is, yeah, if he's just some dorky boy who is just awkward, oh, isn't that's kind of cute. I could sleep with that guy and get a card, no big deal. That's inoffensive. But like, I have to sleep with this basement dwelling neckbeard who sleeps with an anime pillow, and like make him horrifying.
Yeah.
That adds another layer. And then, can you redeem this character and figure out why he was the way he was? What turned him down this way? Was it just message boards, or was he spurned in the second grade by some girl and then he just had some shitty behavior from then on out? I think that could have been a very interesting movie.
Hmm. And I also want to point out a lot of Jennifer Lawrence's exes in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have the tow truck guy who I
Mm-hmm.
guess she kind of ends up with at the end because he was the best of them. Because they hug, or maybe
They hug. I think it was just her really apologizing
Sam.
for
Sorry. Okay,
everything.
fair enough.
Yeah,
Um,
because she left to California, so he
yeah, that's true. Uh, that guy's from The Bear, but all of like the girl,
that guy's from Punisher. That
oh,
guy's from The Girls. Or girls, not
girls.
the girls.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. But the guy she makes out with at the bar near the end of the movie, who they do the
Oh.
finger trap thing with,
Oh yeah.
the ex who runs into them when they're having a drink at the bar, and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, I'm married now," and like, it just seems like all these dudes. It's like these are supposed to be cameos from people that she's started. Like one of them was supposed to be Bradley Cooper. One of them
Yeah.
was supposed to be
Liam Hemsworth
something.
or PETA from Hunger Games.
Josh Hutcherson.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, it just seemed. I mean, I kind of enjoy that it's just normal looking
Yeah.
dudes. It's just like it's not celebrity cameos because sometimes that can really take you out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But other times, like I feel like this is supposed to be a celebrity
Yeah.
cameo
Missed
here.
opportunity.
Yeah, but I mean, it's
And they
fine.
went,
Whatever.
whatever, Douglas from catering, he's hot. Hey, Douglas, you got a thin enough penis for this Chinese finger trap?
I don't think that's how that works.
That's
um,
how they cast it. They said, can you fit your penis in this hole? And they were sending all these guys out, but they found these really thin dick dudes.
mm,
Because they couldn't do a prosthetic. It had to be a real
of
thing.
course, it just the movie was already over budget at this
Mm-hmm.
point, just from paying her. Um, Anywho, do I have any other thoughts on this movie? I hope this does well. Uh, I would like to see her do more comedies. I think
Yeah.
she's really, really good, and I think she had a lot of fun in this. I mean, we've seen her do so many dramas, Oscar-winning stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
action movies with X-Men and Hunger Games. I'd like to see her do more comedies. I know
Yeah.
she was apparently doing working on a script with Amy Schumer.
Mm.
If the movie's good, I'd see that.
Yeah.
I think this kid's great. I think we'll see more of him, and I know he comes from a theater background.
Okay.
I knew he played a good dork because I think he was one of the Evan Hansons from the Dear Evan Hansen
Okay.
show.
All right.
Uh,
What kind of middle name is Barth?
I don't know.
Not Bart, not Garth, but Barth. That's all. If you don't have an answer, I don't have follow up
I don't have an
questions.
answer. So yeah, I just hope good things come from this.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt it. Uh, but yeah, bring back offensive, fucked up comedies
Yeah.
because they're a lot of fun, and I think they let us, heal as a nation because laughing's great.
And when you think of the last 20 years of the great comedies, and you have your Step Brothers and your Super Bads, and for some reason I was going to say Beverly Hills Chihuahua.
Beverly
Um,
Hills Cop.
no, I'm thinking of like more recently. I don't know why that entered my brain. It
Oh,
was
okay,
probably just one of the movies that was also out at the time when I worked at the theater when those movies came out. But your Observe and Report and things like
sure,
that,
sure,
like
sure.
big comedies that were rated R, were willing to do it. And then there was just like a drop off. I think it was probably Marvel films that did it. This is what everybody wants. We're not focusing on that. Everybody's seeing the big action movies. No one's
Mm,
seeing the small comedies.
I'm sure it didn't help. I don't really think Marvel's the
I don't think
problem
they were
here.
gunning for it. And like, if we're gonna kill any franchise out there, it's gonna be the romantic comedies or the boner comedies. No.
I just like the idea of a big exec going, it's like, we need more boner comedies in the theater. The kids go
They're
crazy for it.
cheap. Kids sneak in to see them. They tell their friends. Everyone wants to see the boner comedy. I'm like, well, actually, it shows we only make about 17% of our budget back, and but with the Marvel movies, we can make $1 billion.
It's good that Kermit the Frog works in
He's
finance.
yeah, he's done with the show. He doesn't want to be the front man anymore. He's a money man,
Gotcha.
you know. And then
It's all
Kermit,
profit.
Kermit, Kermit the Frog sitting on a desk, feet up, smoking his cigar and stuff, and going, like, it is easy being green, and he's flipping money.
Yeah. That's a funny image.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I have anything else. Should they have banged? I know they got pretty close, but do you think they should have, or is it better, sweeter, nicer for him to have it in a more organic way?
Well, I think the way they did it was fine because it's like it's going, here's your sex scene, but it's also not gross because they don't really do it.
Mm-mm.
Um,
Why does his room look like a lab? It looked like a science. He had a counter in his bedroom with like cabinets. Do you remember? There was all these like high aerial shots of his bedroom. He
don't
had his
worry about
bed.
it. Yeah.
Weird design choice.
Yeah.
No bedrooms have countertops in it, except in a bathroom, maybe.
Rich people stuff. I
I
don't know.
guess, but it looked like they had a science room, a science classroom, and they said you can't pull those out. You could throw a bed in here and a computer, but that's it. I know you don't have answers, so I don't have any follow up questions. But should they have banged?
But I think you could have done it in a way where, like, he knew what her thing was. He was angry. They, she realizes something's off, but it's like something happens. She's like, I need this car. I need this car today, or I'm fucked. And so she's like, she reluctantly does it. He reluctantly does it because it's just like, if this is what she is and what she wants, fine, I'll do it. And they have sex, and it isn't romantic, it isn't sweet, and it's, awful. And it's like they kind of have a learning moment from it. It's like she kind of realizes, I shouldn't have done this because now I've just ruined this first time memory for this kid. And he's kind of like, I shouldn't have done this because this wasn't cool with me. I'm doing this out of spite instead of like
Mm-hmm.
love. And you could have done it in a way where it's not gross and creepy, and you could make it sort of sad, but then you make it sweet because, like, look, we can move past this and just be friends and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. I'm sorry I played out this way, and you can still have the same sort of emotions.
Yeah.
Or I thought when he ran into that girl at the dinner, like, oh, the girl who's going to go to Princeton with him, who they are in bed at the party
Yeah,
together.
which that happens so fast.
Yeah.
He leaves the car and like instantly beelines to the bedroom.
Yeah,
And they left the restaurant to go to that party while she was still sitting at her table with her parents. How did she get to the party so quick? She's a mutant. Mutants confirmed for no hard feelings.
Oh shit. But movie stuff aside,
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be her. You would see that girl again at the end,
Mhm.
where would give him the confidence, like, all right, and she like grabs him by the face, like, here's what you do. Say this to her, and then she like whispers something that like the audience can't hear, and he's like, "What? I can't say that." And she's like, "Trust me, it'll work." And then he says, and the girl's just like, "Ooh," and you can see on her face like she's kind of into it.
Yeah.
And
And
then
then slaps him.
or something. I don't know. But you could have them. It's like where you could go, oh, that kid is definitely gonna like
Mhm.
hook up with that chick at college, or
Yeah.
lead to something like that. It's
Yeah,
like,
when
oh,
she's dropping him off at the school and stuff.
yeah,
That would
it's
have been
like,
a nice little scene.
yeah, it's like I gave you your first sexual experience, or I didn't give you your first sexual
Mhm.
experience, but I can show you how to like get what you really want, and have a positive sexual experience in the
Mhm.
future. Because now you're experienced, or like I will make you as experienced as possible without actually doing it.
Yeah.
Like there's plenty of avenues.
That sounds like the sequel. He's having trouble. He goes to sleep with her and either can't get it up, finishes too fast, something like that. And he calls her and says, I know I've had my first semester. I'm done. I'm making lots of friends, but I'm not sealing the deal and I'm getting a bad reputation. So she comes to visit him and they're hanging out, reconnecting. And she does that thing like, look, I'm not going to fuck you. I'm not going to be your practice doll or anything like that. But let me give you some tips and tricks. And then it's her trying to like, then you can do more of the her fitting in with young people, but it's more accepted because it's college and people of all walks in life and people are making jokes about like, oh, it must be great going back to college after all these years and yada yada yada. So we got to know
Are you
hard
a
feelings
teacher
too.
here?
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, I think, I mean, I guess would be the plot of Sex Education, but what if she came to that school, taught him his things, like then everyone's kind of like, oh, well, teach me a thing or whatever, and
Yeah.
so she kind of becomes like this sort of sex
It's a,
guru or
yeah.
sex professor at the school, even
Yeah.
though she doesn't work there. She's just kind of visiting her friend, and she has this wild weekend. It's like, well, I thought you were supposed to hang out with me, and then maybe she hooks up with a teacher played by
Mm-hmm.
Adam Scott
Paul Rudd. Yeah.
or something, or maybe she hooks up with another student. It's like, oh, well, you didn't have sex with me, but you're gonna have sex with my roommate. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but your roommate looks like fucking Chris Evans. So it's
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
had to, or I don't know.
Yeah.
You could there
No hard feelings too. No, still no hard feelings. That's what it's called.
some hard feelings.
Oh, Steve, you always coming in and just cleaning up my shit. You know, I don't wipe properly, and you come in and just really clean it up.
That's why they call me Steve the shit cleaner.
I mean, now being a father.
Yep, yep, yep.
You got anything else?
I don't. Oh, real quick,
Yeah.
not to harp on the because we Jones kind of blew past it. The big beach scene that
Oh
I
yeah, the
think
big
is going to be the talk of this
yeah.
movie,
I
and I
feel
guess rightfully so. Did this scene work for you? Because for me, I don't think it did.
I
It was
honestly I was distracted because like she's fully nude beating up these kids, and instead of just enjoying this scene, I'm looking at the filmmaking of how are they going to shoot this where she's not showing her fucking asshole to everybody. You know, it's like where they put the CG, where's the lighting, the dark shadows. So I was taken out, but I thought it was very funny. I think the idea of a naked woman beating the crap out of kids is pretty funny. But it felt like it was missing something. Either
I
he needed to come out and fight too, or something.
yeah, I I agree because I didn't see this coming, and it was so shocking to me because and it's no detriment to her. Like I think, like you said, the concept is funny, and it's great that and I think it's great that she went for it,
Mm-hmm.
because we see so many of these comedies where like the dude is naked, or there'll be a gross guy with his penis out, like an Observe and Report, and it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, but it was just so surprising to
Yeah.
see her do this that I was taken out of the comedy for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
because I wasn't necessarily distracted by the nudity, I was just distracted by the situation of itself, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh wow, this is now, and it took me a second to sort of realign myself. And yeah, it should be funny that this woman is naked and beating up these kids,
Mm-hmm.
but for whatever reason, I didn't find it that funny because I was just, like you said, I was just distracted. And it's
Distracting.
like, oh, I mean, good for her,
Yeah.
but I was thinking the same thing too. I was just like, all right, well, filmmaking, shadows, and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole it was missing, and I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if I feel like maybe if there was some funny lines thrown out because I don't even remember if anything funny was said, or if it was just
Yeah.
like
I mean, she got
"fuck you,"
like punched in the crotch by the chick or something, and I mean,
yeah,
that's normally a
that's a
ball gag, you
that's
know.
a classic below the belt
Yeah.
hit comedy gag, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But that was kind of like the only thing in that fight. I wish that I don't know.
Yeah, there could have been some lines like a guy swings on her and misses and just like hits her in the boob, and she's like, "Did you just fucking punch me in the tits?" And then goes after him. Little lines could have helped, or even if it was something she
Or like
fell on a jellyfish. I know she said they were out of season or whatever, but if there is more of a bigger injury that happens because she is naked and it's more embarrassing, like if there was a jellyfish like right on her inner thigh and then this guy has to pee on her, that's such an extreme of like,
yeah,
oh shit, we're both naked on the beach and I gotta pee right there.
or like as if she's in that fight, uh, she like gives one of the one of the I don't even know if the guy was chubby, but like you
Mhm.
have a chubby guy there or something, and then she gives him a titty twister. It's like and then he's like and then he grabs hers, and
Yeah.
then but then it's just like, oh, I don't know if I should do
Yeah.
this, but then it's
The
like,
other
oh, but this
bullies go,
hurts.
oh dude, no.
It's like, oh, you can't do that. It's like,
Yeah.
but she's hurting me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be funny.
that'd be funny. It's just like two basically adults just like
Yeah.
giving each other titty twisters. But it's like, but it's even funnier because one of them's naked.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have. I think there could have been more fun things to
Yeah.
do
The
there,
joke
but it's
shouldn't
just
be she's naked.
yeah.
You know what this movie I'm surprised doesn't have? A scene where like at the big party, she's like she's eating a lot in the interview. She's just like stuffing her mouth the whole time. So I thought that was going to be kind of her thing of since she is poor, she eats when she can, tries to stuff her
Mm.
face where she can because she doesn't have money. I thought she'd be at the party and she'd be eating a bunch of stuff and she'd eat a pot brownie. Oh, and then a whack.
Oh.
I'm so surprised there's not a scene where she's high on something or he gets high. I know he has too much to drink,
Oh, I
but
took a pill, and then he turns out,
yeah,
oh, it's ibuprofen.
ibuprofen. Yeah. Okay. I don't got anything else.
No, yeah, I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, I don't. I think I rated it a B minus because even though if it's not super bad levels of laugh a minute, I enjoy everybody in this. I think they do a good job. There's a lot to like in this, and not so much that is eye rolling or overly mean or gross. It's a nice little comedy.
Yeah.
So
It's funny, but it plays it safe. It could have
yeah,
gone further.
it could. So next week, nothing for a few days. I won't get back until the Monday of the 10th of July, which is then another week after that before we can see each other again. And then there's a few days of me editing. So
I'm going to watch so many things.
you do have assignments.
Okay.
So yeah, we won't get together until July 16th.
Dang.
Yeah, so, and there won't be a new episode again until the 19th of next month. So apologies to everyone.
During the summer movie season.
Yeah. Um, but we'll have lots to talk about. We'll have to do a big major episode of everything that we've missed, and then we were doing our brackets after that.
Okay.
So we got some stuff to do, but you got to watch Black Mirror. That's plenty of time to finish it. It's one of the things I want to talk
All
about.
right. I got you.
All right. Well, if you want to get in contact with us, we are at WRPL podcast at gmail.com. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Same name. Yeah, what'd you think of this latest boner comedy? Do you want more boner comedies in your life? Do you think they should have banged? Or maybe could this have worked with a gender swap? Anywho, let us know. As always, I'm
And
Ben,
I'm Steve.
and keep consuming.
I don't want this kid to die, but like, wouldn't it be something